You are watching In Conversation This Week with Miceal O'Hurley.
I'm ready to address any kind of question, being in Arabic, being in English, being in Spanish. This is really the languages that I manage. Who wants to start? Ireland.
Ireland has been very supportive of the Palestinian people. We've advocated for an immediate ceasefire. What can Ireland and countries across Europe do to move Israel to finally adopt a two-state solution, which Benjamin Netanyahu is entirely opposed to, but which we believe is essential to peace and stability in the region?
If Ireland and the rest of the countries in Europe, the like-minded countries, will wait for Netanyahu to take the decision to come forward and to accept, adopt, and implement the two-state solution, then I believe that's not going to happen in our life, not in the life of our grandchildren. So they have to reverse action. Ireland and many other like-minded countries have to think differently. They cannot give the leverage and the advantage to Netanyahu to be the one who decide and to determine when and how the two-state solution will be implemented. Such countries have to take their initiative on their own, and they have to start by recognizing the State of Palestine themselves. Ireland has to be in the forefront of doing so. The Irish people have been demanding this. Irish Parliament has adopted this, and right now it depends on the Irish government to take that initiative, which is fully supported by the Parliament and fully supported by the Irish people. So what's is delaying that? Why they are taking that much time to take that decision? I believe if they want to send a message to Netanyahu, and if they want to make Netanyahu rethink again about his position vis-à-vis the two-state solution, they have to change, the rules of the game. The rules of the game have to be changed, and the first of it is by recognizing the State of Palestine. So if you ask me that question, and my reply to you is that I do advise your government to consider seriously today coming forward and announcing the recognition of the State of Palestine. Great Britain.
Thank you. Lizzie Porter, Senior Correspondent, Iraq Oil Report, and also freelance correspondent for other outlets. I have a question about the attacks supposedly in support of the Palestinian cause on US targets in Iraq by resistance factions in Iraq. And I wanted to ask your position on how helpful such attacks are for supporting the Palestinian cause, or whether they are seen by the Palestinian Authority as more of a expression by those resistance factions of their position vis-à-vis America.
Look, I want to be frank with you. We see them as a reminder to the US, to everybody else's, that the Palestinians are not alone. And that, there are peoples, governments in the region that they can stand up with the Palestinians, and fight with them. That's really the message. The message that I do read is that the moment that Israel ends its occupation of the Palestinian land and permits that the State of Palestine will emerge as an independent sovereign state on its own in the 1967 borders, then there will be no excuse for any non-state actor anywhere in the region to use or to give as pretext the Palestinian cause as a reason to attack any target in the region.
Mr. Maliki, can we ask a few questions, because we have also questions about the Palestinian issue. First of all, there were reports in American media say that the Joe Biden administration may recognize the independent Palestine. Is there any developments about these reports? And secondly, how it could be possible to have a two-state solution? Because when we look at the occupied West Bank, there are more than 200 illegal settlements, and there are 600,000 settlers are living in the occupied West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem. How, in these conditions, two-state solution will be possible? And the last question, they are talking about the limitation of the Muslim prayers in Ramadan in Al-Aqsa, in Masjid Al-Aqsa during the Ramadan. How it could, the tension is very high in West Bank, in Gaza, and how it could change the situation in the region, in the Palestinian land. Thank you.
So these are three questions. Well, it's very clear that for many years, the Western countries, including the US, has refrained from investing heavily in finding a solution to the Palestinian problem by forcing a negotiating process. Since 2014, when John Kerry left the region, we had a complete US vacuum in terms of direct involvement in mobilizing and activating the so-called peace process. After October 7th, the Americans came to realize that, they have to move from managing the conflict into resolving it. And the only way to prevent the repetition of October 7th is the materialization of an independent Palestinian state. Today, they are talking about it more openly and more clearly. We have read, as you have read, reports, about that. And I hope that such reports are reflecting the truth when it comes to the right discussions that are taking place within the U.S. decision-making circles. It will please us the most if Biden administration will come forward and recognize the State of Palestine sooner than later, because that will force Netanyahu to reconsider again his own position and to rethink his position and comes to the negotiating table in order to see how we will be able to implement the two-state solution. So that's really very important. The second question is about settlements and settlers. Yes, there are about 750 Israeli illegal settlers living in about 200 settlements dispersed all around the West Bank. These are a clear impediment to a Palestinian independent state. When I said a Palestinian independent state, I said sovereign, territorially contiguous. And it is very clear that settlements are illegal and settlers are illegal. And so, according to international law, these settlements has to be dismantled, and the settlers have to go back to where they came from in the first place, inside Israel, because they are Israeli citizens. And their presence in the Palestinian occupied territory is a violation of international law and Geneva Conventions. That's very clear. So we are an abiding state to international law, and we would like to see that all agreements, international law, including the Geneva Conventions, are respected and applied by everybody, including Israel. So I don't see a problem when it comes to this. What I do see is the need for the respectability and the applicability of the Geneva Conventions, the international law, and then this issue will be resolved immediately without a problem. Ramadan, the month of Ramadan is a holy month to everyone. And Israel has been doing daily incursions into Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem in order to alter, to change the status quo that has been there for hundreds of years. They think that, and they have said it, through many of their settler organizations, that they want to destroy Al-Aqsa Mosque and to build instead of it what they call the Temple Mount. And all their intentions on a daily basis is to create a new reality on the ground, that place is not an exclusive Muslim place for prayer, but also a place where Jews can come and can pray. The moment that we break that point, that it's an exclusive Muslim place, then, of course, things could roll on. And that's why it's so dangerous, the fact that Israel wants to alter the status quo. We have to stand firm as Muslim countries, as international community, to refuse that Israel will alter, will change the status quo that has existed for hundreds of years in Al-Aqsa Mosque and in the holy places in Jerusalem. For us, that's important because any alteration to that might provide further, disturbances and further violence, not only in the West Bank, in the Palestine territory, but also in the region as a whole, especially during the holy month of Ramadan. That's very important. If Israel wants to proceed with that matter, then there is an indication that what they are looking for is their disturbances, what they are looking for is violence, and this is exactly their objective and their aim. We have to make sure that we are not going to succumb to their willing, and we have to make sure that we will maintain security, order, tranquility, peace in the region, and not to fall in their trap.
Excuse me, I have to ask in Arabic for the Prime Minister. معالي الوزير، نعلم بأن رئيس الوزراء الإسرائيلي بنيامين نتنياهو يرفض منذ بداية هذا العدوان على قطاع غزة أن يكون هناك أي دور للسلطة الفلسطينية في داخل قطاع غزة. أنتم كسلطة فلسطينية كيف تنظرون إلى مستقبل القطاع في ظل هذا الرفض الإسرائيلي بأن يكون لكم أي دور في إدارة قطاع غزة في حال انتهى هذا العدوان؟ وهل هناك أي ملامح لحكومة وحدة وطنية مع حركة حماس أو أي نوع من الاتفاق حول مستقبل القطاع؟ شكرا.
أولا، موقف نتنياهو هو موقف لا يعتمد على أي شرعية قانونية على الإطلاق. هو يمثل دولة احتلال، ودولة احتلال لا تملك أي صلاحية أو أي شرعية لتحدد كيف ومتى يمكن للشعب الفلسطيني وقيادته الشرعية أن تتمثل في داخل الأرض الفلسطينية وتحديدا في قطاع غزة. أنا أعتبر أن هذه التصريحات هي تصريحات غير شرعية، لا تخضع للقانون الدولي، وبالتالي يجب إهمالها بالكامل. القانون الدولي يقول وبكل وضوح أن الشعب الفلسطيني له الحق في تقرير مصيره على أرضه وفي اختيار ممثليه ومن يجب أن يحكموا في هذه الإطار. هناك قيادة فلسطينية موجودة منتخبة، هذه القيادة لها تمثيل، وهذا التمثيل كان موجودا منذ سنوات طويلة في داخل قطاع غزة. السلطة الفلسطينية لم تخرج من قطاع غزة من أجل أن تعود إلى قطاع غزة. هي موجودة هناك ولديها موظفيها، لديها مؤسساتها، لديها مكاتبها وتقدم خدماتها، وهي تغطي كافة الاحتياجات المطلوبة لشعبنا على مدار كل تلك السنوات 17 الماضية. الآن بعد هذا التدمير الحاصل في قطاع غزة، في اللحظة التي يتوقف فيها إطلاق النار، سوف تعود هذه السلطة بعناصرها لتقدم خدماتها الأساسية لشعبنا في قطاع غزة. يجب العمل على استعادة الحياة الطبيعية قدر الإمكان من خلال توفير الخدمات الأساسية لشعبنا، وهذه مسؤولية تقع علينا كسلطة فلسطينية، ونحن كنا نقوم بها وسوف نستمر في القيام بها دون أي اعتراض أو شك من أي طرف. إذن نحن لا نقيم لكلام نتنياهو أي ثقل على الإطلاق، ولا نعتبر أن هذه التصريحات تعنينا في المقام الأول، لأنها تصريحات لدولة معتدية، دولة لا تملك الحق في تحديد من يمثل الشعب تحت الاحتلال، ودولة فلسطين التي أرضها محتلة. هذا حق يمثل شعب فلسطين، وشعب فلسطين اختار قيادته، وهذه القيادة هي موجودة تعمل باستمرار وتتحمل مسؤولياتها حيال هذا الموضوع.
Mr. Foreign Minister, how do you evaluate Turkey's efforts for establishing peace in the region, especially regarding the guarantor role?
How you evaluate?
Turkey's effort for establishing peace in the region.
Well, Turkey has been working very closely, with Palestine and the Palestinian people, showing solidarity and support to Palestine over the years. The historic ties that, bring Turkey to Palestine, Palestine to Turkey, and also the responsibility towards what's happening, in Palestine, religious, traditional, political ties makes Turkey on the forefront, providing all type of support to Palestine. President Erdogan and President Abbas have been always in contact, and in 2 days' time, President Abbas, the President of the State of Palestine, will be visiting Ankara on Tuesday, and there will be a meeting between the two presidents, a reflection of the continuous consultation and discussion between the two leaders, as a reflection of the excellent working relationship that exists between the two countries. We appreciate very much the support that Turkey has provided to the State of Palestine, financially, otherwise, and including right now with the situation emerging, in Gaza. Turkey has been sending humanitarian aid to Gaza, which is appreciated and thanked for, but also Turkey's political position condemning atrocities, crimes, genocide committed by Israel against the Palestinian people in Gaza is a reflection of this steadfastness and support and solidarity commitment of Turkey and the leadership of Turkey towards the cause of Palestine. And we always felt that we can rely on the support of Turkey, when it comes to counting the friends around us who always have been next to us, providing all type of support that Palestine really needs. تفضل. بس علي صوتك شوي.
ماذا دار في اجتماعات الفصائل الفلسطينية في موسكو، لا سيما بعد أن أعلنت حماس في الساعات الأخيرة أنه تم تجاوز الكثير من العقبات، فقط بقيت مسألة الاتفاق على من يشكل الحكومة، بعض الأسماء وما إلى ذلك. أخبرنا ماذا قطعت هذه المحادثات من شوط نحو رؤية حكومة فلسطينية جديدة من جانب. السؤال الثاني، الكل في غزة وكل المعنيين بأخبار غزة الآن يترقبون أين وصلت محادثات وقف إطلاق النار. أنتم في السلطة الفلسطينية كيف تتوقعون، ما هي رؤيتكم لتوقيت الوصول لهذا الاتفاق؟
يعني أولا نريد أن نشكر روسيا الاتحادية على الجهد التي تبذل في استضافة الفصائل الفلسطينية للوصول إلى تفاهمات مشتركة من أجل إنهاء حالة الانقسام المستمرة منذ فترة طويلة. ويبدو أن الأصدقاء في موسكو لم يملوا من بذل الجهد المستمر لتحقيق مثل هذه الغاية. ما تم تحقيقه من وجهة نظرنا في اجتماعات موسكو في غاية الأهمية، وهو ذلل بشكل أساس المشكل الرئيس التي واجهتنا في الاجتماعات موسكو السابقة، التي حالت دون الوصول إلى تفاهم وتوقيع لاتفاق أو بيان مشترك. القضية الأساس والجوهرية التي تم تخطيها وتم اعتمادها وتم تبنيها والعمل عليها، وهي أن الجميع أقر بوحدانية تمثيل منظمة التحرير الفلسطيني للشعب الفلسطيني. هذه قضية في غاية الأهمية، وهذا يعكس مدى انسجام حركة حماس مع هذا الموقف الذي يمثل مجموع الفصائل الفلسطينية والشعب الفلسطيني، ومتى انتماء الجميع لمنظمة التحرير كممثل وحيد وشرعي ومرجعية أساس للكل الفلسطيني في هذا الإطار. بالتأكيد هناك أيضا توافق حول الكثير من القضايا المرتبطة بالأحداث ومرتبطة بالرؤية ومرتبطة بالتقييم، ولكن الموضوع الحكومة الفلسطينية كما تعلم نحن نريد حكومة تتعامل مع التحديات القائمة وتتعامل مع المجتمع الدولي، ولا نريد حكومة أن تجد نفسها محاصرة وغير معترف بها من قبل المجتمع الدولي. وعليه نحن نحاول قدر الإمكان بأن يكون هناك توافق من قبل الجميع على طبيعة تلك الحكومة، وهي حكومة غير حزبية، حكومة تكنوقراط تخضع لمسؤولية المرجعية الأساس، وهي السيد الرئيس الذي سوف يشكل تلك الحكومة تعود إليه. هذه الحكومة هي حكومة مؤقتة، بمعنى أنها يجب أن تتحمل مسؤولياتها حيال التحديات التي فرضتها الوضع الحالي في قطاع غزة وفي الضفة الغربية لتحضيرا للمرحلة القادمة. وخلال كل تلك الفترة الانتقالية تكون هناك أيضا محادثات متواصلة مستمرة ما بين كل الفرقاء والأشقاء والفصائل المختلفة للوصول إلى تفاهمات أوسع تسمح لنا بعد ذلك بأن يكون هناك انتخابات. تلك الانتخابات سوف تفرز أيضا الأطراف والجهات التي سوف تقود المرحلة اللاحقة للدولة الفلسطينية. إذن نحن لا نرى حتى هذه اللحظة أي اختلافات أو خلافات حيال هذا الموضوع، بل نعتقد أن الظروف هي ظروف مواتية، وهناك انسجام أكبر ما بين الجميع، مسؤولية أعلى، وهذا مقدر من قبل الشعب الفلسطيني. ونأمل أن هذه النتائج سوف تنعكس أيضا إيجابا على وقائع الأمور في الأيام والأسابيع القادمة. محادثات وقف إطلاق النار. كما تعلم دولة فلسطين والسلطة الفلسطينية ليست جزءا مباشرا من تلك المباحثات التي تتم، وهي مباحثات تتم من أجل وقف إطلاق النار، ولكن وقف إطلاق النار أصلا هو مرتبط بإطلاق سراح المحتجزين في غزة، وليس وقف إطلاق النار بمعزل عنه، وإنما إطلاق سراح المحتجزين هو الذي سوف يؤدي إلى وقف إطلاق النار. هذه هي العملية العكسية التي نراها هنا في رؤية المجتمع الدولي الذي يعطي أولوية لإطلاق سراح المحتجزين الإسرائيليين في غزة على حساب وقف إطلاق النار في قطاع غزة، والذي أدى حتى هذه اللحظة إلى استشهاد أكثر من 30,000 فلسطيني بريء، 70% منهم من الأطفال والنساء، ودفن تحت الأنقاض حوالي 10,000، بالإضافة إلى أكثر من 70,000 من الجرحى، وتدمير كامل لكل مقومات الحياة في داخل قطاع غزة. نحن نرى بأن الأولويات اختلفت، ولكن في نهاية المطاف ما نريده هو تحقيق وقف لإطلاق النار، ونحن لازلنا متفائلين حيال هذا الموضوع، رغم أن المعلومات التي تصل وتأتي من إسرائيل تظهر بأن نتنياهو غير معني بالتوصل إلى أي تفاهمات لوقف إطلاق النار أو في إطلاق سراح المحتجزين الإسرائيليين، لأن هذا ليس في صالحه على الإطلاق، وبالتالي هو يؤخر ويعطل ويمنع مشاركة أو سفر الوفد الإسرائيلي إلى أي محادثات لاحقة لاستكمال تلك المحادثات التي بدأت والتي قطعت شوطا كبيرا من أجل الوصول إلى مثل تلك التفاهمات. Please.
I wanted to ask, from Reuters, I wanted to ask about the post-war scenario, actually.
About?
The post-war scenario in Gaza and what you envisage the Palestinian Authority's role to be in the governance of Gaza after the war ends. Do you think that it will be able to govern alone, or would a unity government be needed with Hamas in order to bring the people together and govern together? Thank you.
No. As I told you, as I said at the beginning, we have 30,000 Palestinian civil servants that they have been operating and working for the last 17 years in Gaza. They are still in Gaza. They didn't leave Gaza. And the moment that there is a ceasefire, these people will resume immediately their functions, and they will continue operating, even in containers, as temporary, offices, until, we provide them with more permanent ones. But, that's very important, meaning that, we are not talking about anything new. We are talking about the renewing what has been in existence for the last, 17 years in Gaza. That's very important. We are not going to accept that, anyone to talk about any alternative to the Palestinian Authority that has been operating in Gaza, that has the legitimacy to work in Gaza, and that is the only legitimate authority that will be operating in Gaza. Yes, Netanyahu was talking about no to the PA in Gaza, but at the end of the day, Netanyahu is not a citizen of Gaza, and not an elected leader of the Palestinian people in Gaza in order to decide and to determine who will govern Gaza. Netanyahu is the leader of an occupying power, an occupying country that is right now militarily occupying, Gaza Strip. So, he says that as an occupier. Now, does he have any legitimacy or credibility or an authority to say that? Absolutely not. He could say whatever he wants, but that does not have any political significance or any political weight when it comes to the implementation of that matter. So, and when he says that, they will create local committees to run this, local committees that they work for whom? For the Israeli occupation forces? Their reference, if they have any problem, to go back to whom? To the Israeli military occupation? Forces in Gaza? That's really tantamount to treason. So absolutely not. The only legitimate authority that will operate and will continue operating in Gaza is the Palestinian Authority that has been always in Gaza as it is in the West Bank. That's the only authority that we do see, and this is how we see the situation, post-war era. Absolutely. Please.
Senead Eireann from Japanese newspaper Nikkei. How do you evaluate the stance of Japan and China since October 7? What are your expectations from those two countries? And you said that we should be expecting a miracle in the Moscow talks.
Miracle in?
We shouldn't be expecting a miracle in the Moscow talks between Hamas and Fatah. But I guess desperate times need desperate measures. So can you update us about the talks about Fatah and Hamas? I'm sorry, we don't have any Arabic translation, so maybe this is repetitive to our colleagues in Arabic. I'm so sorry.
Well, you don't expect miracles among humans. And the people who have been meeting, in Moscow were humans. So miracles only come, by God and the selected, prophets. So, no, we have to be practical. We have to be realistic. Yes, we do have problems, and these problems have persisted for so many years. There are differences between, the Palestinian factions. That's very normal. And you cannot really expect that all these differences, will be resolved in one single meeting. That's absolutely not. But the fact that the start was positive and the outcome of that meeting in Moscow was positive, then, that's very encouraging because, you can build on that. There should be a follow-up, and exactly the statement that was issued by all factions and signed by all factions also stipulates the fact that all of them will be ready to move to a second phase for a follow-up. That's very important, and I do believe that's really also very encouraging, from that perspective. Well, look, I'm not going to stop by each and every country's position regarding October 7th. Because, if you read their statement exactly on October 7th and their statement today, you will see huge difference. So that's why I am not really to judge countries based on what they have said immediately as a reaction or under the request of the Israelis, in that regard to October 7th. What really is important today is to read what they say and how they react and what conclusions they have arrived at, today after 147 days of atrocities, crimes, genocide committed by the State of Israel against the innocent civilians, in Gaza. That's, for me, is the way how to answer your question.
Minister, a follow-up question. Miceal O'Hurley, Diplomacy in Ireland magazine. Minister, the U.S. seems to have a glaring contradiction in its foreign policy. Occupation of our beloved Ukraine is bad, but it seems to be acceptable for Palestine. Democracy requires the input and consent of the people everywhere in the world, except in Palestine. Do you see America developing an appetite to change its policies so that the Palestinian people have autonomy in a contiguous state so that they can determine their own future, while Netanyahu seems to be announcing plans for Gaza's future without any recourse to consulting the people of Palestine?
Well, you know, our objective is not really to arrive at an autonomy. Our objective is to arrive at ending the occupation of the land of the State of Palestine. This is really what our objectives are. And this is exactly what we are aiming for, how to get rid of the Israeli occupation and to materialize, you know, the State of Palestine in full sovereign powers. That's important. So this is really where we are, working hard in order to achieve that. Now, it's clear that, you know, Netanyahu is trying to ignore the basic fundamental rights of the Palestinian people because, you know, he doesn't see that, you know, there are Palestinian people that deserve the right to self-determination and to independence. Even if you recall, the Israeli Parliament Knesset has adopted a resolution that self-determination is an exclusive only to Israeli Jews and not to the Palestinian Arabs. It's really a very strange kind of definition and interpretation of self-determination. But this is really self-determination principle. But this is really the way how the Israelis always, looked at the Palestinian basic fundamental rights. What I'm really certain of, that one day and one day soon, Israel will realize that it is in its vested interest to come forward and to end its occupation of the land of the State of Palestine and to recognize the State of Palestine as we did recognize the right of the State of Israel to exist. The United States of America has been really reluctant to come forward to do that. It's true that we have seen certain improvement in their behavior, in their wording, in their really statements, but still they are very shy to take, you know, the extra mile. They are still very hesitant, you know, to take actions. But it's clear that, you know, atrocities committed by the Israelis, crimes that being committed by Netanyahu's army in Gaza is compelling and forcing Biden administration to take that extra mile. So even if the Biden administration is hesitant to do so because of all that type of special relationship with Israel, the Israeli behavior in Gaza, committing crimes, you know, not only war crimes, crimes against humanity, but, you know, the worst crimes ever, crime of genocide, is compelling and forcing the Biden administration just, you know, to open their eyes and not to keep ignoring such realities on the ground and to take that important step. Double standard has been always there, and it's not going to evaporate, you know, suddenly. There are countries in the West who will maintain that double standard despite the fact that they know that what they do is wrong, that what they do is a contradiction and contrary to international law, but still, you know, I believe they are prisoners of their past, you know, as colonizers who always look as the others from up down, and their behavior, their attitude, how they see is reflected of today in modern politics when they still, you know, interpret it in international law differently and differentiates between country and another in that aggressive manner. Last question.
Thank you, sir. I apologize if this is a repetition again because I wasn't able to follow the Arabic responses, but we had some discussions yesterday at the panel that you attended about the prospects for a ceasefire in Gaza. I just wanted to ask if you think it's possible to achieve one before Ramadan starts. I know it's very soon, but you've obviously been following the developments, so what do you see the prospects of a ceasefire at the moment? Thank you.
We hope that we will be able to achieve ceasefire before Ramadan. We hope that we will be able to achieve ceasefire today. And, we hoped that we were able to achieve ceasefire yesterday, but we have failed. Because not achieving a ceasefire today, it means that, another 1,000 Palestinians will be either killed or injured. 70% of them will be innocent children and women and elderly. So if we want to save lives, innocent lives of people, if we want to save, the destiny of people, the future of people, in Gaza, if we want to show that we are still humans and we care for the life of others, then we have to make the extra effort. But it's very clear that, Netanyahu and Israel is taking all of us, in different directions, and they are taking all of us as hostages to their own policy and their own interest. And that's really the problem, that the international community has fallen in such trap, and the international community has shown no leadership whatsoever confronting such crimes and atrocities committed by the Israeli side. Thank you very much. شكرا جزيلا لكم جميعا. Muchas gracias.